Hey, everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV. It is the podcast about the TV that we watch. I'm Daniel. She is Hope. This is episode 106. And have you guys ever heard the Target stalker? We were in Target recently, and we were going down through the aisles, and it seemed like every time the guy was right an aisle, always an aisle behind us.
It was like Jaws, like Donna.
Yeah.
Donna.
It was like I was sitting there trying to say, look at this item that I think we could buy. Hey, what about this? I think he was. I think what he was doing was he had collected all the random stuff that people pick up, put in their cart, and then drop off at another place because they decide they don't want it. And I think he was putting it all back. But the scanning noise.
It was very overstimulating.
I felt like like we were being hunted.
And this was like during.
It was like
Prime.
a predator situation.
It was like Jurassic Park too, like when they're in the kitchen.
Get to the chopper.
And the Velociraptors are like in the
that's a good
going
one.
after
Yeah.
them like
like
that.
I'm trying to hide at some point.
The sound was more of like a Jaws thing, like Donna, Donna, Donna. But how do you do that? Do it like make it like Jaws-ish, but do the sound like. Because I can't do the sound as good as you.
I can't.
It was like. And it's not like this was going on during an off time of day. You know? Let's be done with that. I've had enough. You know what I mean, though?
No, it was like,
this was like prime, busy shopping time where a lot of people were in the store. So, like, we've been there, like, really early before, really late. This was like midday. Yeah,
every time we wrapped up what we were looking at in an aisle, we moved to the next aisle, and then he followed us into the aisle that we were in and beeped at us.
Well, sometimes we didn't even wrap it up. We just wanted to get away from it.
Yeah, that's true.
So then we had to go back and backtrack, and there he was again. I really think that he wanted to be our friend. And it wasn't one of those situations. Like, this was an actual employee. We've had times before where we've been, like, at Walmart or Target or, like, a big box store where I guess if you're a tall man... people think you work there, can help them, where people will come find Daniel and be like, hey, can you get this off the shelf for me? This was an actual worker.
Well, no. So there's two situations you just described there that happen to me on a very regular basis when I'm at Walmart specifically.
Yeah.
Well, the one of them can be anywhere, but one of them is specifically Walmart. I'm tall enough that anytime I'm in an aisle and somebody is short, especially old ladies, they're like, young man, could you...
At least they say young man still.
Well, it hasn't happened in a while, so they might not say that anymore. Could you get...
fart.
Could you get that down for me, please? And then this doesn't happen as much now, but I used to wear a very specific pants polo shirt combination to work that just so happened to match uniform colors for managers at Walmart, and all the time I would have people come up to me and be like, hey, I can't find such and such, and I'm like,
cool.
I don't work here. Occasionally, if I knew what they were looking for, I just pointed them in the right direction. So
I can honestly say no one's ever come up to me in a store to ask me. Now, I have people that randomly come up and decide to talk to me.
Sure.
Because I have the opposite of RBF face. I have like resting nice face. Have you noticed? You've noticed this. Where airports, whatever, wherever we are, strangers always come up and strike a conversation with me. They see me as somebody they want to be friends with. I must just have that joyous glow about me.
The only people that do that to
Except
me...
for when I'm running. Then I look
mean. The only people that do that to me are old dudes.
Oh, old dudes love me.
Yeah, well, different reasons.
But like everybody like always wants to come talk to me. I have the opposite of RBF. I must have like friendly, knows what she's doing. I had to help these. It was like on one of my girls' trips once. You know how I don't know how they're going to do it now when they put the new rules in place. But right now, the current Southwest system is you get in line based on your boarding group and what number you are. They were like so confused. They're like, is this our ticket? Is this our seat number? And I'm like, no. I'm like, you're right. You go here. I was like, you're in A. I was like, that's just the order you get on the plane. And they're like, well, where are we going to sit when we get on the plane? And I'm like, wherever you want when you get on the plane. And I'm sitting there like, that's the reason why Southwest is ruining things for people like you who don't know what they're doing. Do you remember, though, the time we were at Disney and that old man comes over to me with his wife and he's like, hey, how'd you guys get those Dole Whips so fast? Because that was,
yeah,
which now you can't mobile order at Dole Whip. You can mobile order at Citrus Swirl, but you can't at Dole Whip. But I was like, oh,
you ended up with
order.
his phone in your hands, teaching him how to do mobile order.
Well, I was trying to show him. He's like, can you just like do it on my phone for me? I have the app, and I'm like, okay, yeah. So that's another example. I guess just like they see like I think that guy was just like. How? And I bet I had a feeling his wife was probably like, well, they're all getting their Dole Whips early. Why aren't we?
Yeah. There was a situation there where he was like, I have to wait in the line. And she's like, why is everybody else getting theirs before me? Raj.
Which I always wonder about them now
but...
that you can't. I didn't think of Raj. I thought of like a Harold for his age.
Okay.
Or a Herbert.
Anyway. I don't think he was that old.
He was older than like our parents. I think. What is age? I consider myself to be very youthful. Anyway, shall we like talk about some shows? Well, first off, it's the unofficial start to summer because Memorial Day weekend is even though it was cold here, oddly enough, it marks the unofficial start to summer. Are you excited, or is it just another season?
It's just another season.
I'm the type of person that when I get to June, which happy June, by the way, I'm like, all right, let's get to the burn months. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready to put out my big skeleton outside. I'm ready to decorate, put all my bat stuff out, all my Halloween decor, because Halloween is not a day, it's a season. And then, at October 31st, clock strikes midnight. We get into November 1st. Boom, Christmas. Thanksgiving is a holiday that falls during the Christmas season. I'm so excited. I think we were talking about it today because we talk about it all the time. Just how much right now I'm holding back from watching A Muppet Christmas Carol right now because I want to watch it so bad.
We were talking about that on our run.
We were talking about Charles Dickens.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's how that came up.
And then I was like, Mr. Dickens. And that's how we got into that. It's relevant to all aspects of life. But like, are you like, what's your takes on summer, Daniel?
So right now I'm actually looking forward to just a little bit of heat because the weather here has been so wet, rainy, cold, miserable for May. May was like...
Is today the first day it hasn't rained?
In like a week, or two, yeah. But then like it's going to put the foot on the pedal here in the next month or two and suddenly it's going to be 90 every day and I'm not looking forward to that. So I would prefer it to... have a couple weeks in the 80s and then cool back down to the 70s for a while. But I don't live in Southern California, so.
But you know that won't be it. Anyway, give us the target thing so we can kick off our next segment. Let's talk about some movies, or movie, and shows that we've been watching. Just a friendly reminder that we are a spoiler podcast. And we do put chapter markers there. Daniel takes a lot of sweet, good time out of the kindness of his wonderful, amazing heart to put those little chapter markers in there. But the first thing that we're going to talk about, it shouldn't really be a spoiler because, the OG movie came out a really long time ago, like 2001, 2002. When did Lilo and Stitch come out?
I have no idea.
Like the early 2000s.
I was never a Lilo and Stitch kid. Because if it came out in that time period, I would remind you that neither of us were actually kids.
I was a Lilo and Stitch teen. I'm a Lilo and Stitch adult.
We were teens.
My only Hawaiian roller coaster ride.
So you went and watched the live action Lilo and Stitch, minus me.
Yes.
I bowed out of that one. Oh, gosh.
Just kidding. My nephew is becoming my movie buddy. He's who I took to see Wicked. We already have plans to see Wicked Part 2. Can't wait for that, by the way. And we made plans to see Lilo and Stitch. I feel like we made plans like right after we saw Wicked because we knew the live action movie was coming out in the summer. We didn't have a date. And then they gave the trailer. And yeah, we made plans to go see it. And it was so good. So good. There's been some controversy online, which I think is very unwarranted, and I think a lot of it is coming from people that didn't actually see the movie, and I'll get to that in a minute. But everybody knows I'm a Disney adult, quote unquote, but I still will criticize when I feel necessary, and this is an example of where they got a live action movie right. It's like, honestly, for me, it was a 10 of 10. It was so cute, so adorable. The girl that played Lilo was perfection, and it's really hard to find like child actors that can do a role so well. Not only was she adorable, but I feel like she actually does do like hula dancing. And she nailed the part. You could tell she did her homework. And she's been so cute in all the press tour interviews. So she was great. Stitch looked super cute. I was worried we'd have like a Sonic situation on our hands with how, because remember how Sonic looked weird and then they had to like change
ugly
him?
Sonic, yeah.
And it was just because Stitch is so adorable as a cartoon. And then like when you meet him in the Disney parks, he looks cute. But I had wondered like, how are they going to make it look like cute with the CGI for the movie? Oh my gosh, so cute that I just wanted to pick him up and hug him and just make him part of our Ohana. I've always loved Stitch. Stitch is a little menace, a little troublemaker, but he kind of reminds me of like our dogs that we've had.
Yeah.
And he's one of those characters that I feel like you really either love Stitch or you're just like, what's the big deal? And I think you're the type that you don't criticize people for liking Stitch. You're not like a huge Stitch person.
Yeah, I like the character. I think it's a fun, like, kind of different.
Great soundtrack.
It's kind of an off-brand, different from what Disney normally does with a lot of these movies, and that's what I mean. I like it. It's just not like if Lilo and Stitch had come out 10 years earlier, I'd probably be right there with you.
Meanwhile, I'm like, not only did I see the movie, I used to watch the cartoon show. I recently, actually, after we watched the movie, turned on Disney Plus and started watching some episodes of the old cartoon show to see if I still enjoyed it as much as I did.
Like,
Again, as a
probably,
teenager.
like I would say, I was probably going through that phase teenage boys go through where it's a cartoon, so it's not. There's no chance I'm going to watch it because it can't be cool.
I've always been a Disney gal, but I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, this is so cute. So, yeah, we had a great time. Unfortunately, the popcorn bucket we wanted was sold out. It was from Regal Cinemas. It was like a flocked. They say flocked because it looked like felty on the outside. Not on the inside, obviously. That'd be gross. And it looked like him. It looked like Stitch sitting on the ground. It's not that funny, dude. And we really wanted that, but they didn't have that. But they did. If you look behind me, you can see them right here. They had little mini.
Go ahead, everybody. Look behind her.
I was talking to you.
Oh.
You threw me off by laughing at my velvet thing because it wasn't that funny. It's a collectible.
I don't think anybody would have assumed that it was on the inside, Hope, of the bucket.
No, I did, and people on TikTok did because I was like, ew, won't that make if you actually put your popcorn in there like really gross and greasy? No, it's just the normal.
It's going to get gross and greasy anyways because
that's why a lot of people don't put popcorn in them. They just get it, and then they have their bag of popcorn.
They just have this plastic piece
like
of crap just sitting around the house.
I'm looking right now, and I did put popcorn in my Barbie movie bucket, and then I'm also looking my Wicked popcorn bucket that lights up. We had to buy those, and it didn't come with the popcorn because it's collectible.
It looks so nice sitting there too.
It does look cute. It goes with all my aesthetic of my cute little decorative touches.
Okay.
You have Thor's hammer behind your desk.
It's a bookend. It's acting as a bookend.
Okay.
It's serving a purpose.
I have items in both of these popcorn buckets. My Taylor Swift popcorn bucket is on our record player. My Taylor Swift cup is on my printer. So anyway, we got the cute little Stitch plushie. We also got, I haven't had Dippin' Dots in like over a decade. Do you remember the last time you had Dippin' Dots?
I cannot register whether I ever have or not.
Well, I don't know if it's great that I'm like the adult in the situation, but Gavin also likes the theme, and I'm like, oh, me too. Well, Dippin' Dots came out with a special flavor for the Stitch movie, like Hawaiian crumble, and it was a coconut pineapple ice cream with little cake crumbles. It looked like the size of like a Yoplait like yogurt container, super small, and then obviously, $1 million because we're at the movies. So good. So good. So like when we saw Wicked, we got these collector's pillows, and I'm like, oh, I've never bought a pillow at a movie theater before. I can say that's the first time, and I know other people do it, but that's the first time I've eaten like ice cream. Like I've had ices, but that was really yummy. And then after the movie was over, we were in such a good mood, and there were two of Stitch's little girlfriend, Angel, left, the little pink one. She shows up like in the series, but you can actually meet her, I believe, in the overseas parks.
So wait. Stitch's girlfriend is not the pink one that you've got here.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay. I thought you said cousin.
Well, they call everybody like the cousins, but like it's apparently like his girlfriend, but they're not like actually related.
Okay, that was a clarification I needed.
You know when we go to eat at Ohana and because Ohana, they always say like, hi cousin at Disney?
I don't know. I don't recall
You're
that.
just so... Because when we eat breakfast there, I think you're just in a zone.
No,
you haven't had coffee yet. You're not thinking.
It's not happening.
It's up to me again to have my non-RBF face. Because if they don't assume that you're a worker there, you're not going to get acknowledged.
That's true.
Whereas the always nice to me. Anyway, we had to get her. There was 2 left, and Gavin was like, oh, perfect, there's 2 left. And I don't know if they had any more in the back room, but I was like, okay, fine. So we got that. And then we walked over to this table because I wanted to get a picture of Gavin with like the Stitch poster, and they had all these balloons, and then they had these free activity sheets of like mazes, connect the dots, and coloring pages. And mind you, Gavin's a teenager too. I know I'm a grown adult, but we were like, ooh, free stuff. But yeah, the movie itself was really cute. They had some little winks to the original movie. There's a social worker. I'll get into that in a minute in the movie. And she was actually the voice of the original Nani character, Lilo's sister. And then we had the guy that originally voiced David. He showed up. I think he was like a business owner or something. So we had some of those like little winks. And then of course I was like the whole time, I'm like, wow, whoever they got to do Stitch like did it perfectly. You want to know why? Because it's the original guy that has always voiced Stitch. So that's why that was so good. And they did add some characters, and then they kind of changed some stuff a little bit, but it wasn't like major changes. For the most part, they stuck to the story, but they just adapted it for live action. And
it's more live action than The Lion King that they call live action. Because the only CG, like it was all
like
film
Stitch
except
is the
for
only
Stitch
one,
and like the aliens when they show up.
Yeah.
So
they did change. So here's your spoiler part. If you didn't listen to my thing, I mean, it's a kids movie, guys. They changed the villain, which I knew that going in, that Gantu wasn't going to be in it. They did make one like Jumba, I think is his name. He's the one that created the experiments, and he was sort of made the villain. And later, like, he is actually like in the series, and he hangs out with Lilo and Stitch as like their friend. I think because this movie has done so well at the box office that there is, if they do another movie, you can redeem him, whatever. And then the other guy that always, the alien, that when he was like his human persona, it was really funny because he would always wear dresses. They didn't let him like wear dresses, but they did let him have, and I guess the actor like advocated for that, like really wanted to, but they told him no. Well, whatever. But he did wear like women's clothing still, like pants, goofy shirts and stuff. So there was still that little wink there. They added another character, Tutu, their neighbor, David's mom. And some people have been like annoyed by that character. Gavin and I loved her. We thought she was hilarious and a great addition to the cast. And then the major change that has had a little bit of some controversy is, and again, I think a lot of this is coming off from people that are watching TikToks that just heard a little statement and are popping off at the mouth without even seeing it or really understanding, or they didn't stay for the post credits or whatever, is that Lilo's sister actually goes off to college. She does not give Lilo up to the state, like as people are saying.
That's what TikTok told me.
Yeah,
TikTok told me she gave her up.
That's not how it happens. And honestly, when the movie started, and I kind of knew that she was going to go to college, so that's something that I did know a little bit going in because people were freaking out. I was like, I'm going to go into it with an open mind because I'm still really excited to see this movie. And I'm sure people are, and yes, people way overreacted. That's not how it is. Context is important, guys. I sat down and I'm like, when you watch a cartoon, okay, everybody looks down, but you don't really see age.
Yeah.
I see a teenage girl raising a child. And I was like, ooh, this is like really kind of sad and depressing. And we find out, that she wanted to be a marine biologist. She had offers for a full ride in San Diego. I know there's marine biology in Hawaii. People have tried to argue that till the cows come home, whatever. She might want to go explore other things and then come back, like make herself so she can hold a job, because she's struggling holding down a job in the movie because she's trying to raise Lilo. She's trying to work out these crazy hours, manage a household. It was actually very realistic and how stressful that would be for somebody so young. And it really hit home, that part. But she kind of was like, I'm not doing that anymore. My priority is Lilo. And as the movie goes on, they meet Stitch, becomes part of the Ohana. Lilo thinks, Stitch is like a dog and brings the dog home. So we have our cute little shenanigans. And then at the end, the climax of the movie, Lilo's like, I meant what I didn't mean what I said, that I didn't like you as a mommy. I just like you as, she's like, I like you as both. She's like, but Ohana also means, not forgetting who you are and not leaving yourself behind. She's like, Mom and Dad would have wanted you to go to college. So how it works out is that Lilo gets to stay in her house. The house is not surrendered. It is fixed up after the fight, and Tutu, the neighbor, David's mom, which is like Lilo's like boyfriend, I guess, his mom, she agrees to raise Lilo. So it's Ohana also as your village, your people, your friends, your family, who can all come together. So to me, it actually strengthened the bonds of Ohana. And they also have the portal gun, so she can come visit Lilo at any point she wants to. And they have a scene where she uses it. She surprises Lilo, and they all snuggle in bed together. And they're like, good night, sister, good night, sister. And Stitch says, good night, sisters. And I'm like, ah! I cried so much.
Was there a portal gun in the cartoon?
I think so. I haven't seen the OG in a really long time. But yeah, it's all about like the aliens, the technology, and everything. So there was a scene though where Stitch, they had to rescue Stitch, and it was so sad. Even though I knew like that Stitch would be fine, I'm like, oh, this is traumatic for me. Like I almost was starting to cry like at the very beginning when we first saw Stitch, because he was so cute and because I love this movie so much and I was so happy. So I feel like I cried more in the live action Lilo and Stitch than I did Wicked, which was insane. Which I haven't seen Wicked Part 2 yet. I'm going to be messing that one. But yeah, that's that whole thing with people saying that she abandoned Lilo. Not the case. Her plan, is going to go to school, live out her dream, come back. And that's Ohana, not forgetting yourself, having your friends, your neighbors, your family help you. So that's my take on it. I've talked to a lot of other people that are Lilo and Stitch super fans. There is a girl that I'm friends with. That's like literally her favorite Disney movie, and she loved it. She thought the changes, just like I did, like she said the same thing to me. She's like, I thought they adapted well for live action. She's like, a little darker, sadder in parts, but it worked really well, and it was still really cute. So honestly, I stand by what the only thing I would have liked to see the one dude like in an actual dress, but other than that, really no notes. 10 of 10. I think it's the best Disney live action they have done probably since Beauty and the Beast. I think Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast are like the two main tier. I personally did like the Aladdin live action because Jasmine got more depth, and I just love Aladdin so much, the cartoon. I feel like I was always going to like that one unless they royally screwed it up. But I think it's the best one since. And right now, I believe I just read that it is the second highest grossing movie of the year right now, which behind, I think, the Minecraft movie is so far the one that's made the most
Minecraft
money.
movie like blew up.
Yeah, I think that one drew. I'm not really into that. You play Minecraft. Did you want to see that?
No, not at all.
I think it's on streaming now.
No, not at all.
I feel like when Lilo and Stitch live action comes to Disney Plus, you and I will have to watch it together because it was seriously so cute. And we were like vibing at the end of the music and the credits, and then at one point, because they had like a kind of a mid-credit scene, but then they were playing the music, and Gavin and I were like dancing around, and then I look behind me and it's like the guy sweeping the theater. He's like, you guys have fun? I was like, yeah, we should probably leave, Gavin.
All right. Well, with that out of the way, we do have some television shows that I watched with you.
Yes.
First up here on the agenda is actually a season finale.
Yes.
Hacks, season 4, final episode.
Yes.
And it was kind of a anticlimactic kind of episode, but we've talked about it, and I think we both agreed it was necessary because otherwise this would have had to have been the first episode of season 5, and that wouldn't have worked really well, I don't think.
And I feel like, just to catch the listeners up, I don't think we've talked about Hacks the last couple podcasts because we wanted to save it for the end. So I think the last time we spoke on Hacks, Ava and Deborah were still at odds. They were able to put that behind them.
Yep,
Ava had a massive crash out. Deborah realized basically that she had been being a horrible person and that she wouldn't be where she was without Ava. So their fences were mended. We have them, they're back on track. They're like, let's write the show for each other. I mean, I might have already said that in a previous podcast. I don't remember. Who knows? And I'd say the episode before the finale was the big one.
Yeah. What happened was,
catch him up to that.
So what happened was Helen Hunt's character, who was like the executive over the channel, had been
Wendy was her
yeah,
name.
Wendy had been really on Deborah to come up with like her carpool karaoke equivalent, right? Which we find out later, Wendy thought that was a dumb idea too, but that's just what you got to do, right?
You got to play the game when you work for
So
a big
she's
network.
so tough on it that Deborah ends up running into
Bob Lipka,
who owns the studio, or he's the CEO of everything, of the whole big conglomerate. And she complains to Bob about Wendy, about that specific situation. Turn it around, and suddenly the next thing we know, Wendy's been fired and Bob has taken over.
And I don't think Deborah wanted that to happen.
I don't think that was the result Deborah was looking for, but she also didn't seem like she was that upset by it.
Yeah, agree. She was very Deborah about it, like, oh well.
So then, the next episode, we're seeing the studio. Bob Lipka has had them bring on a guest that's got some problematic issues that Ava is definitely against. Deborah's not necessarily totally against it, but she does, in the taping of the show, ask him a question that his agents come back and say, hey, we'd really like to cut that.
Because apparently I always thought late night show was like live. It's not. It's pre-taped. I don't know why I just always thought they were all up that late, and I guess they're on the West Coast, so I was like, they're not that late. But what, did they do it like in the afternoon? They do the tapings, and that's how it is for all of them, unless it's a live show, which we'll get to in a minute.
So that brings us to the live show. Deborah was doing a live after the Oscars show.
Which was huge because they had gone to number one. They're the number one late night show. You got to put in that detail. Like, they were successful.
Bob also told Deborah to fire Ava.
And why because it turned out Ava saw her old coworkers at a bar and kind of mentioned, which they were already doing a hit piece on this particular actor that had problematic text anyway. And Ava, being Ava, just opened her mouth about it.
And it sprung them into a censorship conversation.
Exactly.
And that's what led to Deborah tricked Ava into being out of the studio so she wouldn't be able to stop her.
I was nervous.
And on live TV, Deborah just lays out the studio head. I keep saying studio head because I've got another show in my head. The executive on live air,
network,
right? And then a couple other people conspire to keep it on the air for long enough for her to get most of her message out. She, of course, is fired.
Ava's watching this from the security thing because they had Ava's badge and everything terminated. Deborah basically said, this has been my dream job, but, this is what's going on. It was a baller move.
Which leads us to our final episode of the season, where Deborah basically, her contract says if she gets fired, she has a non-compete for 18 months.
Which is a very normal thing, and even like regular people's line of works. Like, I know that I've had to ask people before, like, do you have a non-compete? When it comes to like professional things, like that's an actual thing that regular people
it shouldn't
jobs
be,
have.
But I'm not going to get political.
You're not going to get, but it is a thing that exists for all. And you would think that they did address that. They're like, did you not read your contract? She's like, well, I thought I was never going to have another job again because I finally got my dream job.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't read this contract, because reading contracts and litigation was always something that like Deborah was into. So I remember making a comment to you like, that's weird to me that she wouldn't have read that. But so they clarified that. And okay, so here we go. Last episode, the episode before that, episode 9 was crazy. Yeah. Because it ended with them like literally like Thelma Louising it, like leaving the studio together, and Bob Lipka at their car being like, "Hey, you're finished, lady." Mm-hmm. So we had all that intensity, and then we pick up right with the fallout, and we have Deborah super depressed.
Yep. She's visited a million different lawyers to try and find her way out of that contract, but nobody can.
You know what my favorite part of just showcasing how depressed Deborah was?
Yeah.
So they're back in Vegas. I don't even think we saw her with the fountain pop. She always does the fountain Diet Cokes. It was just her thing. It's the thing that was highlighted in season 1. So it's just, if you're a watcher of the show, you know that's a thing. And I look at you and I went, oh my gosh. I was like, she's drinking bottled Diet Coke. Yeah. She didn't go in because she's like in a convenience store, and she didn't get the fountain pop. She got just a bottle. So like, it's just little details that writers sprinkle in like that I really like. But then they decide, they're like, she talks to him. We see Marty again. Have we seen him?
Well, if we saw him this season, it was early, but I don't think we have.
Mayor
I don't think we have. Marty convinces her to go to Hawaii, to one of his resorts.
To chill,
She decides to bring Ava along with her, except They don't actually go to Hawaii. She takes her to Singapore because Deborah has found her own workaround from the contract, which is that she can, through a translator, do her comedy in a Singapore casino equivalent.
Yeah.
And she starts doing that, and she's really, her jokes are her old stuff.
Yeah, and Ava's down for it at first.
Yeah,
and they have a montage of them having fun, but you slowly start to see Ava's character kind of break, and you see Deborah's character just drinking more, phoning it in, falling asleep on stage. So while she's doing this because she feels the need to work, it's not fulfilling her.
Yeah.
And then they almost had me. Why don't you tell us what happened?
I didn't believe it. I did not believe this for 1 second. But so Deborah and Ava have a fight. It's not nearly as big of a fight as what they've had in the past.
It wasn't their normal
fight.
But
Ava decides she's going to go back to the States.
Yeah.
And so she goes to her room, and when she wakes up, she's got like a million phone calls, and she finally gets on the phone with Deborah's agent, and she's like, "Can you check on Deborah, because TMZ just published a post that she is dead." And they went deep into very serious music, and Ava like longingly running through the hallway, and like they were working real hard from a production value standpoint to make you think this could actually be true, only to have when Ava gets to her hotel room and starts knocking on the door.
And Deborah's like, what?
Deborah's alive, yeah.
She's basically just like hung over and laying in bed. You know why I think when I am really emotionally invested in a show, it's easier for a show to trick me because some of my walls that I have built up with other shows are down. But I also could see, I'm like, what if, season 5, I think, was announced like 2 days before the finale aired. And I'm like, what if they make season 5 about, because I think they're still going to need to. Like, at some point, Ava's going to have to really strike out on her own, I feel like, to be very satisfying for us. Like, obviously, the point of the show is her relationship with Deborah, but I'd also like to see Ava grow some in a different way, like, and be comfortable on her own. So I thought, well, I was like, that's a bold move. What if they're really doing this? But I should have known better. And then it took Deborah reading her, like, obit or whatever that TMZ put up, to kind of, sometimes I think Deborah is the classic, like, narcissistic type of person that sometimes it takes just a real kick in the butt to kind of shake you out of a funk. And it took that for her to be like, this isn't, because they said in the obit that she killed Late Night.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not going to be remembered for that. She's like, let's pack in, let's get to work, let's go. So I think we're led to believe that at least a couple months had passed by that they were in Singapore. I don't think like the full 18 months. I don't, no. But, maybe a few months, few months.
Ava says at one point, we've been here for a couple months or something. So, yeah. So time passed, but not the full 18 months. So I fully expect season 5 to pick up still in the 18-month period. Maybe a little closer to the end of it.
Kind of like what material, what their next move is.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to it. And I think you and I, at first, we had that initial reaction of, wow, that was a really just kind of like anticlimactic, like you said, kind of just slow finale compared to the previous episode, but it fits. Because as a viewer, I liked seeing that fall out, and I would that means that we can start season 5 not from that depressive funk place. Not that she won't still be depressed, but
I think she's mad now.
Yeah, now she's fired up, she's mad, and I think she's going to be a little bit more driven, and I think that's a really good way to pick up for the new season, because even when shows pick up on the next day, when you're waiting months to see a show like we are, us as viewers might be like, oh, she should be over it. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because time has passed for us, it's hard for us to, and I'm not saying, when I say us, I don't mean like the two of us. I just mean like viewers in general that are watching these shows. So I thought that was a really good move.
All right.
That they did that.
Question for you.
Yes.
So we have recently declared Severance. Okay. Recently, we have shaken up our stuff a little bit, and I have declared Severance as the best thing going. You have in the past said that this show could be up there for your best thing going.
It is.
Are you willing to say here and now that we are in a split decision on the best thing going right now?
Yes. And I'm not saying that I don't disagree that Severance has every right to be in the best thing going. I just think for me, I'm always going to be the type, I can respect what they do in Severance. I like a funnier show, and I think that's kind of why the first couple episodes of Hacks was hard for me to get through, because that fight just felt more intense.
Right.
Also, I watched Hacks differently than I had on previous seasons. I had to do the weekly release, which I think makes the feud stretch out longer. And this feud with them felt just more intense and personal than it ever had before. So it was stressful to me as somebody who really likes the relationship of these two characters. So I do really think Severance is an amazing show. I hope we don't have to wait forever for the next season. But my style and type of TV that I enjoy watching is more what Hacks gives me. And I feel like this show is a beautiful depiction of characters, but not over the top. They still very much feel like themselves, even when they disappoint you. But it also blends humor and drama really well. And I just really enjoy it. So for me, it would be Hacks. Now, originally, they always said they had a plan for 5 seasons. They've since said they might not. They might do more. And I read into that article a little bit. I can't criticize people for the Lilo and Stitch thing without actually reading into context myself. And basically, they said they have a plan that the way they want to end the story. But if for some reason they need more episodes to finish that story instead of cramming them in, that might be a reason why they would do more. Because I don't think, while it wins awards, Daniel, I don't think it's one of the heavy hitters for Max. Like, I think that like most people assume because it cleaned up at the awards, it was probably going to get a season 5, but it's not bringing in the numbers that Gemstones brought in, or like White Lotus by any stretch, or even The Last of Us. It's nowhere near those type of viewership numbers, I'm pretty sure. So for now, yeah, I'm going to go with Hacks. That's my
there
pick.
you have it, folks. We are a split decision in the house. If you're not familiar, if you're newer here, if you're not familiar, the best thing going is how we kind of kicked this podcast off and declaring a show as the best thing going. And I think this is the first time we've been a split decision on the best thing going. Usually we've been in alignment, but right
I've
now...
I've always had backups. But
right now, I think, for me it's Severance, for you it's Hacks.
I mean, what do you think about Hacks? I told you that I still think Severance is like a brilliantly done show, but I gave my reason why I would pick Hacks over it. What are your thoughts on Hacks?
I think Hacks is excellent. It's well written. It's funny, but it's got the dramatic elements. It's absolutely a great show. Just for me, when it comes to the best thing going, Severance is just there, taking up all of my mind space whenever I think about it, trying to understand what may or may not happen in the next season. So that's kind of how I judge the best thing going.
Well, you know what's far miles from the best thing going.
And just like that,
we're back for another season. Season 3. Whew. This is one of those shows that's like, and I love how you're into this. You're in this with me. We're in this together. No one's leaving this. So, it's one of those shows that I'm going to watch it. I'm going to hate it. And then I'm going to be like, I'll see you next week.
But this season 3, episode 1 premiere in particular,
I'm traumatized,
held me hostage. Yes. I felt like the guy from A Clockwork Orange with his eyeballs pinned open, having to watch, not able to look away, even though I wanted to so very badly.
I feel victimized by this opener. First off, let's just get to it was all over the place.
All over the place.
All of, like, Carrie running around in her huge apartment.
You know how sometimes we're in a show where you've got multiple storylines going on, and an episode is showing you those multiple storylines, but they seem, but they weave together in ways, or there's mirrors and there's analogies, all that stuff is going on. This was just like, here's what this person's doing, and it has nothing to do with what this person's doing. And here's Aiden in his truck out in his out in Virginia, cranking it out.
Oh gosh, that was traumatizing. But you know what? At least people are finally on my level with Aiden. It's taken 20 some years. Everybody always put this man on a pedestal, and I thought, and even when I go back, I noticed Aiden is a walking red flag, and he always has been. Did he deserve for him to be cheated on? No, but people are like, oh, he didn't become a red flag. For some of the people that come around to it, they're like, he didn't become a red flag until they got back together after Carrie cheated. Nuh-uh. Even OG Aiden was like, oh, you can't smoke anymore, and was like already trying to change everything about Carrie to fit his mold. I think he just was attracted to her, and he was just trying to like make him into something she wasn't. The entire time Aiden has been a red flag. Now I will go ahead and give you Aiden lovers this, because I think some people are like, this was not the Aiden I remember. They have taken those red flags and made him the most cringeworthy, awful character. This cannot be her endgame. First off, we ended season 2 with that stupid let's wait 5 years crap.
Bring back Burger.
Honestly.
Bring back Burger.
I hated Burger and the way he broke up with her, but I did feel like he was Carrie's like opposite, like her counterpart. They were very much alike in their mannerisms, the way they behaved, the way they acted. And at this point, I would rather Burger give her 5,000 Post-it notes and have to watch Aiden in a vehicle doing what he did. First
when he
up,
licked his hand.
Ugh, it was horrible. I hated it. Make it stop. So they're not obviously doing this. No contact for 5 years should be no contact. First off, they're acting like Carrie is like in her 90s. She's what, like in her 50s? She's not even that old. She still could live a vibrant life. And I don't know. And I think she just is like scared to death to lose Aiden. I think she's honestly still dealing with the trauma of Big's passing, and that she has this familiarity and comfort with Aiden and is just trying to make that her happy ending desperately, because just Carrie is coming off not great either. And so they're sending each other postcards. He's sending her ones of like places, and she's sending them back with hearts. But they're not supposed to talk, I guess, unless it's on Aiden on his terms, drunk in a field in Virginia. And then he like, what does he do? He like
cranking it.
He like accidentally hits the horn. He's like, oh, I think I just pooped my pants a little bit. And then he's waiting to continue to do, the phone naughtiness.
Phone sex. You just say phone sex. We're adults. We're all adults
Okay.
here. It's phone sex. They're having phone sex.
Well,
it's disgusting.
Carrie-
It's gross. Usually in any kind of media, when you're seeing
It
people
just
do
kept
phone
going.
sex, you like, oh, they're starting to do the phone
And then
sex.
they
And then
cut-
they cut away to something
And
else.
with all
And they
the-
just showed us the whole thing.
And with all the scenes they had in this episode, that they could have switched to, why did we have to witness that? Carrie, though, her cat interrupted her. She still has her kitten. So Carrie
Thank God
had to pretend.
for that cat.
It was awful. But then Carrie later calls him back in the episode, and he's like, oh, I can't talk right now. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, is he in bed with a woman? And then it was made even worse because he's in bed with one of his goblin, almost adult-aged, stupid kids. I'm like, who is sleeping with their parent at this age?
It explains why he has to go out to his truck in the middle of the night to crank one out.
Stop saying that! It was awful. It was awful. And mind you, Daniel, you're one of the people that started tuning in and got locked into this ride with me because you wanted to see the return of Aiden. You've since come around to me that Aiden is a walking red flag, correct?
Yes.
And always has been?
Yes.
I'm not saying this doesn't mean that I thought Big was perfect either.
Did anything else happen in this episode?
Well, Carrie wore an absolutely horrendous hat.
Wait.
the bonnet.
It's funny because it's bigger than a regular
It
hat.
was. Sex and the City was always known for their wild fashion, and now I think they're really leaning into that, but it's coming up. They didn't have to try in the original series. It just fit. This is called, we're trying really hard, because I thought that Lisa, Charlotte's friend, her big balls necklace had like basically beach balls on her neck. I don't know what it was. I thought that was going to be like the worst fashion, and then Carrie has this huge bonnet. Then we've gotten rid of the character of Che, which honestly I think it was Miranda that made Che an awful character, because Miranda was so terrible in all of Miranda's actions.
Did Che get a send-off last season? I don't remember. Or is it just like...
And just like that, I don't remember either.
Okay, fair. Okay, fine.
But so we've gotten rid of Che, and now Rosie O'Donnell shows up in a lesbian bar, not as Rosie O'Donnell, as Sister Mary, a nun. But Miranda doesn't know that Mary is a nun.
My
or that
baby's a
Mary
virgin.
Is a virgin, like the Virgin Mary. And Miranda thinks that she's being hit on by Brady's old babysitter. I'm like, Miranda, you can't pull someone that hot, please. So Miranda's like, she's like, sure.
Was she hot? I didn't even notice.
And they wake up in bed, and Sister Mary is like, oh, that was my first time. And Miranda's like, oh, first time like with a woman? And she's like, no, first time in general. I'm a nun. What? And then
I feel like you're breaking some nun rules.
We have some other shenanigans with texting, and Rosie's character is like, meet me at Times Square. I'm gonna go
she's
see
hitting up
Wicked.
all of like the New York City
which I love
tourist
Wicked.
traps.
And I knew what was about to come. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, is she going to do this? And then they have to ruin one of the most beautiful songs from Wicked. And Miranda's just like, I'm not really in a relationship place. And Mary's like, no, you've helped me. You've changed me. And then she's like, because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And the whole Wicked outfit with the fun of Times Square. And I guess... They even had Miranda come out and say, like, I'm a lesbian now, which is fine, but why can't Miranda be bi? I'm not saying Miranda needs to be with a man. I just feel like bisexual representation on TV is just almost non-existent at this point. And there's an episode, I'm going to reference 2 episodes from the original series, where one, Miranda did question her sexuality. And yes, people can change, and went on a date with a woman, didn't work out. She said she liked men, whatever. I'm not saying she can't change. She's obviously open to change. I always thought that Miranda's connection with Che was more of a person type connection, and now Miranda's like, oh, I'm just a full lesbian now. Now, the other episode that I'm going to reference on Sex and the City, I actually rewatched this one fairly recently. It had, I don't know, the guy, Rachel's assistant, Tag, that actor, that's all I ever think of him as.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that episode.
He was a bisexual guy that Carrie went out with, and Carrie was so weird about it. Like, first you think she's going to be chill, and it just, watching back that episode, it's really problematic. Maybe it's just problematic from the lens of, 2025. And this would have been the perfect opportunity for Sex in the City and Just Like That, a show that tries to be, quote unquote, I hate using this phrase, but woke, that tries to be evolved, to actually be evolved and show some bi representation. And they just didn't. And I'm really disappointed that they're not having Miranda like proclaim to be like bisexual, because I feel like I don't think there's a lot of representation for bisexuals on TV. And why would you not take an opportunity that would fit in organically to do this? I find it, especially when you have that, which a lot of fans have pointed out, how like ick and problematic that episode was, where Carrie dated the bi man, and how her reactions to it.
Just like everything else with this show, they miss opportunity left and right, and it all feels forced.
When they were in the lesbian bar, though, enter Chapel Roan.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Of course they're playing Chapel Roan. Why wouldn't they? It's like everything in this show just feels so forced.
And all the kids are awful. They're just terrible children, and they're all like... And I feel like Charlotte is a great mom.
I forgot about her
Her kids treat her
so
like crap.
Stupid. All Charlotte does this episode is like try and figure out why her dog is being blacklisted in the elite West Side. What I don't even know. Upper East Side elite dog sitting community
the thing
of
about
New York.
Charlotte,
It's like,
though,
oh my god.
Her character is the one that is mostly the same as she was before, but has also grown. And I feel like Charlotte is my favorite on And Just Like That. And then we had. Do you think Michelle Obama's going to show up in this season?
No.
Okay. I don't really have anything else to say other than this show is horrible. I'm going to keep watching it. Ugh.
If I have to watch another phone sex scene involving
Aiden's in like 6 episodes, dude.
I'm going to throw up.
I'm sure you'll see him in his tidy whities again.
The tidy whities.
The hand spitting was too much.
I'm so
a bridge too far.
I don't know how I ended up having to watch this episode.
If I have to, you have to.
The last 2 seasons, I did not watch every episode of this show, and I do not know how I ended up roped into this.
If I have to suffer, you have to suffer. I want to be done talking about this.
Speaking of suffering...
It wasn't suffering. It's a good show.
I watched one episode of this show and bounced out and told you exactly what it was all about, and I got it completely right, and I am
You didn't get it completely right. You thought it was about cop sirens.
Wait. That's not what I said.
Or EMS.
That's not what I said.
Yes, it is.
Okay, first of all, the show is on Netflix, and it's called Sirens. Is it a show? Is it a miniseries? They're like, 5 episodes?
They called it a limited series. So 5 episodes. I think it's one of those things where they probably wanted to do a movie, realized they had more content, and then put it in a show. They marketed it, all the previews for it made it seem very mythological. So I'm like, oh, Sirens. I'm like, when are the mermaids showing up?
Okay, so first of all,
we were both wrong.
When you made that joke, I said, oh, it's probably just about firemen or something. And so you get the first stinger scene of the show, and then as soon as they get past that stinger scene, cut to...
It's because Devin's getting out of jail, and that's why you hear a cop car.
On a cop car. I was right.
No, you're not.
And then I watched the first episode,
and
I said, this isn't about mermaids. Not a single mermaid is going to show up in this show.
I kept thinking maybe the mermaids would be revealed.
And I was correct.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was weird. And I like that they made you think the whole time up until the end that some kind of supernatural force was at play, when really you realize that it's just men are trash. honestly. So, because you think, you're like, maybe all these three women, because we have Julianne Moore's character, her name's Michaela, she's married to Kevin Bacon's character, they're super rich, they have this fancy beach home, and her assistant is Simone. I just know her as the girl from, she's young
House of
Rhaenyra
Dragon.
Targaryen, House of Dragons, and then we've got Devin, who she was in White Lotus season 2.
No memory.
She was like a major character in it. She was married to Theo James's character.
Don't care.
You liked White Lotus.
Yeah.
You just don't remember.
I just don't remember it all.
Anyway, she's playing Devin. She's another sister, and she's taking care of their dad, which has had a lot of problems. He has like Alzheimer's. He's kind of losing it, and she's trying to go find Simone. She texted her Sirens. That's like their sister code. Like, come help. And Simone sends an edible arrangement, which I love edible arrangements, by the way. Those are so good. Do you like a good edible arrangement?
I like fruit.
You don't think edible arrangements are cute and delicious?
I don't need
and
it.
Nutritious.
I don't need it to be cute as long as it's
I like
delicious.
it to be cute. So Devin's like super ticked about it. She's like, I'm going to go find my sister, drag her butt back home. And she gets there and she's like, oh, my sister's in a cult, because we've got Michaela, Julianne Moore's character. She like has a bird sanctuary. She does this thing like, hey, at their meetings. It's just kind of the vibes are off. So I'm like, oh, maybe Julianne Moore is the mermaid. Then I started thinking that maybe both the sisters had like mermaid powers and didn't
Turns
know
out
it.
it's just rich people BS.
Yeah, pretty much. And at one point you see like Devin, her boss that she was sleeping with, like brings her dad down.
Dennis from I'm sorry, excuse me.
Dennis is the one sleeping with Simone. Did I say Simone?
Yeah.
I didn't say Devin.
Well, maybe you did. I don't know.
Dennis from Always Sunny is one of the rich neighbors that is sleeping with the younger sister, Simone.
Okay.
Devin, boss that she slept with that's married, is a different guy from Buffalo, where they live.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And at one point, Devin's like, please leave me alone. Just go into the water. And then he disappears. And we think, oh my gosh, did she make him go into the water? And at one point, Dennis from Always Sunny falls off one of the cliffs. And we're like, did Simone make him do it? Did all these women make them do that? No, because both of them are alive and well. The reason why Dennis disappeared, which he does, he did disappear to go get her dad. And then the reason why he like fell off the cliff was just because he was clumsy and drunk. Unless you think Simone pushed him. I don't think she lured him off the cliff or anything. And Devin, it was just Ray got like really drunk and upset. So basically, the three women, they are known for drawing men in, but they're also vilified by men, seen as casting a spell, like what a Sirens would do. There's a scene where one of the characters is walking down the beach with three guys trailing her. So that's kind of like why people might think supernatural, but really, honestly, it's just like the takeaway. I've done some screenshots so I can remember what I said. Are you getting he's gay and it's all what you're thinking of? Was I mumbling?
But he has a deep connection to classical music.
Sorry.
Many things that are interesting.
I had to pull up my notes. The main takeaway that I had was that the Sirens were never out to destroy men, the three women. They were just beautiful, and men destroyed themselves in order to possess them at all costs. And when that fun fades, they turn around and then blame the siren, which you see all the men. You see Dennis get mad at Simone. You see Ray get mad at Devin. You see Kevin Bacon's character. I think his name's like Peter. I just call him Kevin Bacon.
It's Kevin Bacon.
He gets mad at Michaela. And really the only mistake that the Sirens made was believing that the men would uphold their promises. So basically, Peter did try to put the moves on Simone. That's Michaela's assistant, the younger sister. And she's rejected him, but somehow the Vogue photographers were there, because again, rich people, got the photos, and Michaela's like, you're fired. And so you think at one point that Simone's finally going to go home with Devin, take care of the dad, because she said no to the proposal, and you see her running on the beach. And for context, their dad was terrible, especially to Simone. He didn't feed her. He let her starve. He forgot about her. So she had a very traumatic childhood, and Devin was at college during all of this. And that's why Devin, I think, feels so guilty to come back and take care. She would eventually come back and take care of her sister. And while Devin's kind of sacrificing what she would be doing to take care of the dad. So we see the younger sister has really been through it. I mean, when you don't get fed as a kid and you get basically ignored, it's a traumatic story. So you think she's going to go back. She doesn't. She realizes that Michaela's never going to accept her again. And she's just like, you know what? Fine, Peter. So suddenly Peter, and there's no prenup, by the way, that Peter and Michaela had. He left his first wife for Michaela, who was his lawyer, and said the only way you get any money is if you have kids, but she never had kids. And he pretty much says, hey, we're done. Get out. And you see at the end where Simone's in the fancy dresses, in the clothes, going, hey, hey. And she's like the new kind of queen bee. And then Devin just realizes like she's lost her sister forever, but also I think low-key understands it. Why? Because Simone was so traumatized. That's what she did to have to survive. So a lot of people didn't really like the ending because it kind of just ended like, oh, the one sister stayed, kind of as the new villain. And then you've got Michaela on the boat. Then Devin's asking her about the whole hey, hey cult-like thing. And she's like, that's just something dumb I said to my rich friends. And they all just bought it. So I kept saying it. So yeah, it was a really good piece about how men blame women on their problems and would be how like sirens lure their victims to death. So it wasn't about mermaids. A little disappointed in that. But they had me thinking at one point that their dad was like lured in by Michaela as a mermaid at some point because he was like, I know you. And then you realize, nope, he's just crazy. He's got Alzheimer's and he's sundowning. So it took a very realistic end. And I think a lot of people were annoyed because Simone basically ended as like a villain. But was she a villain? She was trying to survive. Peter is the real villain, in my opinion. Kevin Bacon.
Every time you say Devin, I just go Devin Levin.
From the middle?
Yep.
Well, that is a throwback.
Yep.
Devin Levin is the niece of Frankie's hair person's cousin something.
Yeah. That's all I got to say about the show. All right. One more here for the agenda. We did finish up season 4 of Ghosts. Is this season 4?
What season it is?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
This is like a nice filler show when we don't have anything else going on.
I feel like we haven't talked about the end of it. If we did, we're going to talk about it again. We don't remember. The show ends with Jay making a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
Unknowingly, because he wanted to like help promote the restaurant or something. So now that was our cliffhanger, was like, is Jay going to be dragged off to hell?
That's it.
I'm excited. Yeah, I agree with you. Ghost is a nice filler show. It's nice to let those episodes stack. One of the things I can appreciate with Ghost is that I do get my 20 plus episode seasons, which is just absolutely missing in the world of streaming. And it's just nice to let those episodes, accumulate, get up to like 5 or 6 on there, go in, watch some. So go check out Ghost if you haven't. Just do it.
It's got at least 4 seasons now. And I think last season was slightly short because of the strike. But for the most part, they're 20 episode seasons. So
Swiss cheese, and
so
I
at this point, if you need a mindless comedy that's fine at best, Ghost will get you through whatever problems you're having in your life right now. Watch Ghost
instead of in Just Like That, unless you want to be tortured.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, sizes, and Epcotians. That's it for today. Next week, we've got an episode as well, believe it or not. We're going to talk about a couple other shows that we've watched, but we didn't really want to squeeze them in here because we will be talking about the full season of them. So we did watch Apple TV's The Studio and Netflix's The 4 Seasons.
So go watch those so you can hear us talk about it next week.
And we'll also be doing a bit of a mid-year kind of wrap-up on Netflix. Dumped about a bunch of dates on us, and a couple other places have given us more firm dates about when their shows are going, and so we're going to kind of wrap that up next week. So
we usually do kind of twice a year about what we're looking forward to. Now that we have some of those concrete dates, we can chat about that. Is this like my videoed off the awesome moment? I can't do it like you.